So this is December 14, 2022. I was going to make this video a couple weeks ago, compelled, then I didn't. 2 years ago, I told this story in video with evidence, and then I got kind of scared off, so I deleted everything. So anyway, today, for certain reasons, I feel like I'm going to make this video again, just for a little testimony's sake, and use it as a link in comments, because I was listening to a certain person talking about this subject, and I thought, oh, let me just tell what happened to me in the comment section. But instead, I'm going to make a video because it's too hard to type. And at the risk of whatever. But I went through all this before. So this is about an experience I had with the Umbrella Corporation going after me. And I'm not kidding. So this was about in 2020. I was living in Sierra Vista, Arizona. I'm going to say it straight up. And I had an apartment there. I didn't really want to live there, but an apartment became available for low income, so I moved there. And I was living in that apartment. I was already well aware of the SSP situation, this and that. So and it was regular habit to listen to all the testimonies on Super Soldier Talk and everything else. So I'd already heard of Umbrella Corporation and the ACIO situation that I do mention in some of my other videos on the other channel. So I'm just walking around showing pictures of stuff. So anyway, I think it was after I had just been relaxing, listening to some testimony, and I went to the local Safeway store. And I had this little green car, and I parked in the parking lot, and the parking lot was real empty. And I parked my car backwards instead of forwards in the parking lot so I could just zoom out when I got out of the store. So I came out of the store, and there was a white pickup truck parked next to my car. So his driver's side was right smack next to mine. And on the door of his pickup truck was the Umbrella logo, the red thing. And then the saying underneath it, which is repeated in one of James Rink's recent videos, the Super Soldier Talk. Was it his? I'm going to get them all mixed up. Where photographs, wait, who did it? When Kimberly recently did an interview, I think on James' channel, and somebody had taken a picture of that very same truck with that thing underneath there, and Kimberly said she had never seen those vehicles running around. But anyway, there I was looking at it, and I sat there. I didn't have my phone with me, so I didn't take a picture, but I sat there like, oh, whoa, Umbrella Park right next to me. There was all these other options, but I assumed it was a purposeful parking thing because I had just made videos on my channel about alien, like MyLab abductions that seemed, because you can't prove this stuff. In the 80s, what happened with me when I was experiencing MyLab type abductions, and I was still living near in this area. And so shortly after I made those videos, which also got invaded straight away, making it obvious somebody didn't want me to tell the story, but I was making these connections about my personal life in relationships and what appeared to be an involvement that I must have had with some of these MyLab situations involving genetic engineering. Okay, that's in a nutshell. So anyway, I saw the truck and I sat there. I didn't wait for the driver to come back. I should have. I went straight back to the apartment. And I emailed James Rink and I said, oh, I just saw an umbrella truck just, kind of followed me in the parking lot or was parked next to me. And he goes, do you have the license? No. Did you take a picture? No. So I just let it at that. But what it made me do was I said, what is this? Because I hadn't looked real deeply into Umbrella Corporation. So I typed it in the search engine and here comes Resident Evil, which I hadn't known about that before. So I spent all day looking up Resident Evil information. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, because I found on the fandom page of Resident Evil Wiki this whole timeline of since Clinton's era and how these facilities were developed around the world to create this And if you just look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. But it looked like factual data. It looked like Resident Evil wasn't just a movie. So, and I even, because I never watched that kind of junk, I just thought people made it up. But I was looking at it like, oh, okay, so now my assumption, I hope I don't get in trouble. My assumption was that underneath Fort Huachuca is probably a lab, like, duh, um, of people, and whatever. I mean, it seemed obvious because that military base is connected all around the world. Even long ago, John Lear said that there was a captured ET ship under the Huachuca Mountains. So anyway, I was aware I was living in this little nice military town, but it was probably on top of some really high-end operations. So anyway, so I studied Resident Evil. I asked some people I knew if they watched the movie, and they said yes. And then I'm putting together, listening to all this stuff that, dang, that shit's real. Okay, so what happened next? This is really the interesting part. So I have an eBay account, and one day around that time, I was looking to find a pair of overalls to buy some overalls. I hope I have enough time to say this, and then it's not boring. Uh, so, um, so I was looking to buy some cotton overalls and seeing how hard they were to find. Just cotton overalls. They had these other kinds. So I found this one seller who was selling these overalls imported from overseas, somewhere in China, and they said they were cotton, and they looked kind of, not really the style I wanted, but there they were, and they were $12. So I just made note of it on my phone, right? When you scroll eBay and you're looking around. Well, I got out of there after I think I put a watch thingy on it, to watch that overall. So I was going to come back because I only had that much money in the bank, so I didn't want to buy them right then. Well, lo and behold, the next second, I get a confirmation. So I went out of that store, and then on my notifications, I got a thing that said, "Congratulations, you just bought these overalls." I did not. And I'm like, the sale went through. What that meant was somebody had, in order, like if you see something on eBay, you say, buy it now. And then it brings up the thingy, then you have to click at least 2, 3, 4 more times so that the system goes and grabs the money out your bank and the sale's confirmed. No, this sale happened over my head, absolutely over my head. I went to my bank, and sure enough, the system had pulled out that $12, leaving me with about 5 cents. If I hadn't had that money in there, my account would have gone negative. I would have been in financial trouble, which is one way I've been sabotaged my whole life, was to would have finances withheld or withdrawn from my life. Okay, so I seen that, and I'm like, dude. So I contacted the seller, who was a big seller, and I believe he was either in Hong Kong or I can't remember the city, but it was not in the U.S. And I said, hey, I didn't buy these. Can I get a refund? Because this was a wrong thing. It took him 2 days to write back and say, sorry, can do. So that's the first time this happened. I thought that was weird as heck. Why would that happen? It's never happened before. I've used eBay since 2004. Never seen something go over me and buy something for me that I didn't even buy. Okay, so I found out from my bank, nothing I could do, and then I tried a couple days to do something, couldn't do it. Well, and all this is happening during my umbrella investigations, right? Now I have images and proof of this story on another phone that that I can't find the other phone because I took screenshots of. I learned how to do screenshots. I took screenshots of all this junk as it was happening. Okay, so I said, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get a pair of overalls in the mail. Nothing I can do about it. And I can't remember exactly which came first, but the overalls did come 2 weeks later. They were in a plastic bag. And I'm not saying the parts about the maintenance people in the apartment possibly working for these systems because of, what can be done is well, anyway, I'm skipping over because those are suspicions. Let me stick to facts. Okay, so the overalls came in this plastic bag. And I opened up the corner of the plastic bag, and the material was not cotton. It was some shiny, like smooth, weird ass dark blue material. And I got this, because I pick up energy off items, you know what I mean? So I just said yuck and I threw them away. I didn't even open them because what I picked up off of these overalls was that there are slave colonies. I'm just saying this. Let's say I'm guessing, whatever. Slave colonies that the standard clothing are overalls, whether it's in China or, by the way, what's his name? That's a painting. Whether it's in China or wherever. And it felt like whoever the seller was, and whoever forced the sale to me was sort of giving me this innuendo of, here, you're a slave, wear your slave overalls. Now that's me suppositioning the situation, but wait till I tell you what happened next. Because I believe this happened after I got the overalls. So anyone that has eBay and you have a phone and you have an account, when you go into, and I think I was using the eBay app, I'm not sure, but if you go on your phone and look at the screen, which is a different version of a computer screen looking at eBay, the front page. So I go in there and look at my front page, and then a couple rows down, I wish I could illustrate it. So in the top row, I see, if I'm a seller, what I have. And then the second row, it'll show something like recommended items for you. And then you'll see a bunch of sellers in a row. You can scroll sideways and see what they're recommending for you based on what the AI picked up that you've been looking at and all that. On the first row, I wish I could illustrate. Right smack in front of me, I'm looking at a little round circly thing, thumbnail of a female wearing sunglasses. Next to her, it says Umbrella Labs, right smack staring at me, as if Umbrella Labs is the seller of product. I kid you not. I wish I could prove it. I made a video about it, but some of this scared me off, so I deleted everything after that. Umbrella Labs was looking at me off my phone. And now I had looked into Umbrella Labs. You could go to the website and see they sell, it was a common thing. They sell all these bottles of, what do you call them? Bodybuilder stuff. Like, here, take this, take that for bodybuilding and everything. So that Umbrella Labs had, a website where you could just go purchase these formulas in little bottles that take them if you're a bodybuilder. Not to mention, I saw one jogging up the street around this time. So I just thought, oh, that's a guy jogging who's got huge muscles. But anyway, back to the thing. So I'm staring at this thing. Umbrella Labs is on my phone staring at me like they're a seller. Well, it kind of freaked me out, so I didn't click on to see what they were selling until I came back again to see if it would still be there. Because sometimes the AI can impose something on your computer, and then it's only there for a split second, and it's gone. Well, I went back in later, and there it was again, staring at me. Umbrella Labs is suddenly a seller on eBay staring at me. So I click it on, and guess what? It didn't go anywhere. There was no product. I forget what it went to, but I clicked on to see what Umbrella Labs was selling, and nothing showed up. And then a few days later, in fact, I haven't even looked right now to see if Umbrella Labs has an eBay account, but that is what I was seeing on my screen. So I'm sitting there knowing these guys had the technology to sort of spook me, I guess you might call it, and let me know they were following me around, which was giving me plenty of validation that some of the connections I was making about my personal story about my lab abductions that might have been happening in the 80s with myself and my partner, who at that time was Lavelle Evans, an African American person, and one of my main soulmates. I've had about 3 in this life. He was probably the biggest soulmate I've had, and the abductions seemed to be sexual in nature. And when I was first hearing about Umbrella Labs and all this I was thinking, yeah, man, the abductions I felt like I was having in this area, just so happens, had to do with sexual stuff. So I'm putting 2 and 2 together in my mind, thinking like, okay, well, you can see if that story is true, that those 3 German scientists going to Africa, where this tribe is, where they got this cave, where they found this plant, And they have rituals, the Africans do there have rituals where they take this thing, it gives them superpowers. And anyway, the other scientists that were from foreigners, German science, whatever, whoever those three guys were that the Resident Evil story is based on, and then wanted to take that flower back to Europe and synthesize it for super soldier use and all that. Bad idea, not supposed to do that. So if Lavelle was alive right now, he would probably, it'd be fun to talk to him about it. But anyway, so in my own mind, I'm thinking, what if they were scoping out the relationship between me and my genetics and him and his genetics? And I also have several stories that I've deleted from before because all this kind of scared me. I got in touch with Johann Fritz about it because, but then I had a little bit of fear going on because I didn't want these guys to attack me in any way. And there had been situations where the maintenance people in my apartment, I think they might have, how they'll give people who work underground, they'll give them above ground jobs to do locally, especially in that city. And they seem like maintenance guys, but they're actually working double jobs and keeping track of who's aware of who. So I sort of thought, well, let me shut up about it. So I deleted the videos that happened. And all this happened in the year 2020, around the time that I contacted Adrian Espinoza, and he did a scan using my name and birth date, and then sent me back information about how I was involved. So anyway, because I really wanted to know how I was involved with all this, and so this umbrella eBay drama just fell into place with me. It seemed like, yeah. And then I had in the apartment certain what I would call attacks where it felt like they were trying to poison me. And of course, this whole thing with making bad chemicals to use in bad ways involves toxifying people, like, I don't know, putting spray and wash on spray and wash, for example, on a filter that goes up into your apartment where the fan comes out, the heater and the cooler. So the maintenance comes by to change the filter, and he sprays it with spray and wash, which is toxic to me and a lot of people. So if the cooler air heater is blowing through the filter, you're going to be smelling spray and wash for months on end. That's a slow death right there. Then there was other stories in that apartment where, I know nobody will believe this, but there was a dude on my roof one time for like 3 hours in the morning, and then I had a cockroach infestation in that apartment. They were in the walls. The management even admitted that the cockroach has been living in the walls. They couldn't get them out. They'd have to abandon the whole apartment complex. But it was a regular thing, so you'd have tenants come and go because they get cockroaches, and they spray, and they're very lightly, so they never really got rid of them. And the maintenance guy came in and he pounded the wall one day. He said, yep, they live right in here. And they were running through the electric system. There was other seemingly sabotage stuff toward me. So anyway, all this umbrella stuff was happening. I'm thinking, oh, all I have to do is what? Talk about it in public? It's a big secret. So anyway, I just felt like I had to tell this 18 freaking minutes about the eBay hack, about the overalls being sent, about the money being grabbed out of my account over my head. Hasn't happened since then. And because of studying and thanks to James and everybody talking about this stuff, that these folks in these advanced systems have the technology to manipulate your smartphone, everything you're seeing online. Let's put it that way. Okay, so I got that off my chest. So I just wanted to say that